my friends, I am Bee and this is Bee's Intuition. Today we're going to do a reading about your magic. I'm of the belief that everybody has magic within them, special skills, talents, abilities, and yeah, I want to see how your magic is affecting others in a positive way, because I feel like when we harness our own magic, we can make the lives of the people around us much easier. If it's used in the right way, of course. But yeah, I feel like, that'll be a fun little reading, I think. So yes, let's just dive right into it, shall we? Please and thank you, Spirit. How does the collective's magic affect others? How does it help others? Please and thank you, Spirit. How? Alrighty. Oh, interesting. So, the first card that came out is the Seven of Cups. And then we have the Three of Swords. And the Knight of Pentacles. Wow. This is going to be an interesting one, I can tell. And then bottom of the deck is the Tower card. You are an incredibly powerful person. You create a lot of change through your magic. Transformation even. You're probably a dreamer. You may even consider yourself to be like a lover person, like a lover boy, lover girl, that sort of thing. But you probably haven't gone through the best experiences, and I hate to say it, but usually it's the hopeless romantics that tend to get away. I'm just saying, from personal experience. But yeah, and then there's that Knight of Pentacles. I think that you're very responsible. You are very, when it comes to your plans, you're very well thought out. They're really well thought out plans. You take time to truly consider things. With the Tower card at the bottom of the deck, I really do think that you create drastic change. Maybe even in your own life, but also in the lives of others. But it feels very positive. Okay, so let's just get right into it and start clarifying. Starting with that Seven of Cups. Please and thank you, Spirit. How does the collective's magic help others with that Seven of Cups? Please and thank you. Ooh, anything else? Please and thank you, Spirit, for that Seven of Cups. How does the collective's magic help others? Please and thank you. Okay, let's see. This is so interesting. So clarifying that Seven of Cups, we have the Devil card. Interesting. We also have the Two of Wands. Okay. The Nine of Swords came out in this direction. I find that very interesting. And then that was followed by the Hierophant, upright. Bottom of the deck, we have the Six of Swords. Wow. It's interesting because the Seven of Cups is usually a card about illusions, not really seeing things clearly. Sometimes like it's a lot of confusion, uncertainty. You may help people kind of break through confusion, break through illusions. And it's probably because you're very wise, and it may have something to do with your spirituality or your intuition. You may also be able to kind of see the bigger picture when it comes to situations. So probably people like to go to you for like advice or, words of wisdom if they're going through something difficult. With the Devil card, clarifying that Seven of Cups, And it came out with the Two of Wands, so actually I kind of feel like that's a message. The Devil card and the Two of Wands is like combined in this message, I believe. So the Devil card, I feel like you show people what their toxicities are in some regard. And I think a lot of our toxicities, we all have something in us that's toxic, really. It's just a matter of like working on it, whatnot, because we all have a shadow. And somehow you kind of reflect back to people their toxicities, and it almost feels like maybe these are people that didn't realize that they had those toxicities. Or, yeah, because it's almost like with that Seven of Cups, you know, before people become awakened, there's probably a lot of like confusion, uncertainty. Not seeing things clearly. But it's almost like you kind of help people to see their blind spots, I want to say. And with the Two of Wands, I find the Two of Wands to be a very proactive sort of card. And I almost feel like you kind of show people that, yes, you have these toxicities within you that maybe you should work on. But then with the Two of Wands, it's kind of saying, but you have the control, you know? These are not things that are just happening within you and you can't do anything about it. You can work through those toxicities. You can plan to become a better person in the future. You can become the person that you want to be rather than the person that is controlled by their inner toxicities. Also with the Devil card, the chains around the necks are loose to give that message of free will. Almost as if, like, even if we feel like these parts of us within us are, you know, gonna just take over our lives and always be so overly consuming and make our lives miserable, we have a say whether or not we continue on that path or if we decide to make changes. Don't know what that noise was. Sound like somebody yelling on a speakerphone or something? I don't know. I'm gonna rearrange my legs. And I think you show people that they have free will, that they're able to actually work on those things within them. They can grow past them. They can learn to use their shadow parts in a way that's more productive or healthier. And it's almost like you lead by example as well. I think you have personally gone through these moments, and that's kind of what makes you a very helpful person to the people that haven't quite worked through those toxicities, shadow parts. But it's like you have, and so it's not like you're just speaking out your ass. You know, it's really like, you know, it comes from a place of like, I know what it's like because I've been there. And if, you know, because a lot of the times too, like when we don't realize we have toxicities within us, when we don't realize that our shadow self is kind of growing out of control, our lives tend to be kind of chaotic and very messy. And so I almost feel like this sense of like, people sometimes just live in this state of chaos for so long that they can't really pinpoint what's going wrong, what it is that they need to work on, you know, what area of their life they should maybe take a closer look at. But you show people like that those answers are within them. And it starts with really looking deep into yourself, admitting that you have those shadow parts to yourself, admitting that you may have those toxicities within you, and trying your best to work through those things to become a healthier person and show up in a way that is more in alignment with who you want to be rather than who you just happen to be, I guess. I don't know if that makes any sense. But also the ones on this card have those leaves that are sprouting from it, and that talks to me about new growth. I think that you help people see that not only do they have those toxicities within them, but it's possible to change, grow, evolve into a better person. And it's like, you know that you have a lot of self-control, and it's almost like you somehow like teach people how to have self-control. Because I think that a lot of the times, especially when we are very smothered, I'll use that word, by our shadow selves, and our lives become chaotic and, you know, kind of miserable, I feel like some sort of buggy. I don't think it's a mosquito, but I don't want it to bite me. Anywho, that has nothing to do with this. Poop. Where was I going with that? Oh, taking back their power, maybe, is where I was going with that. You show people how to like take control over their own lives. Oh, I think that's what I was gonna say. You know, when we're kind of like drowning in our shadow self, our toxicities, it can be so hard to feel like we have any sort of control over those parts of ourselves, especially if these are things that have been kind of ruling our lives for so long. We grow a sense of sort of comfort in those, you know, times of darkness. And it's so easy to fall into the way of thinking of like, oh, this is just who I am. You know, that's, you know, a very toxic part to myself, but I can't control it, so whatever. And then it's like those types of people tend to just not try to go any deeper than that. Try not to kind of see if there are ways to change, grow, evolve into the best version of themselves. But I feel like you kind of show people how it's possible to take their power back and say, I can have some sense of control over this. Because at the end of the day, we don't have control over a lot of things in life. Most things, I would say, probably, we don't have control over. But the one thing we do have control over is ourselves and our actions. How we show up for other people, how we treat others, the things we say. And so you show people, and I feel like you kind of try to empower them, to show them like, you don't have to live like this forever. Okay. There's like a beetle on my leg and I'm like, are you a tiny little tick? But thankfully it showed me it can fly, so it's not. Flying ticks, now that would be terrifying, right? Okay, anyways, I'm getting so distracted. Maybe you're somebody that gets very distracted very easily. Okay, beetle, you're tickling me. I need you to skedaddle. Okay, it's just gonna stay. But yeah, I feel like you kind of show people these parts to themselves, but not in a hopeless way of like, you know, oh, you're like this and you're always going to be like this, and, you know, you're a terrible person because you have toxicities, or, you know, you're not like that. Definitely not. You give people hope when it comes to their toxicities, rather than maybe just blaming them and being like, you're an awful person, or, there's no hope for you. Or, I don't know, like, along those lines. I feel like you're very helpful, and you show people that they can take back their power, and they have more control over these things than they may have believed that they did. Beetle. I swear. Oh, now it decides to fly off and go. Okay. Anyways, the Nine of Swords coming out like this I find very interesting, because I tend to see cards that fall out sideways in this direction to be kind of things that are positively help you move forward in a positive way. So it's interesting because it's the Nine of Swords, which is usually a card about anxiety, fear, overthinking, negative overthinking. But with it coming out like this, I almost feel like you know what it's like to be in those moments of maybe depression, anxiety, fear, overthinking, and the feelings of instability that kind of come along with that. But you show people that there's a way to be productive about that. And when I talk about productivity and being productive, I'm not talking from a place of like the grind set, the grind mindset and like that sort of culture, because I feel like that can be kind of toxic. But I mean more so in a productive way of like improving yourself, becoming more enlightened, becoming the best version of yourself. And you know what it's like to go through those really rough times. And and maybe it's just me, but through my personal experience, when I didn't really acknowledge my shadow self, I had a lot of self-hate, self-disdain, a lot of self-loathing kind of feelings. Because at the end of the day, I kind of realized that I kind of, and it's usually subconscious, it's not like a conscious thing. I kind of was making my own life miserable. I was doing things I wasn't proud of. And at the end of the day, I was just like, why do I do these things? Oh, I'm such a piece of crap. I don't deserve anything. I don't deserve anyone. Terrible human being. And it's so interesting because it's like, I wouldn't have at those points in my life had maybe admitted to having a shadow side, toxicities within me. But it's almost like this endless cycle of being like, oh, that's not something I have. Because our ego gets in the way of that typically. It's like, I identify as a good person, so I'm not going to acknowledge that I have a shadow side or a toxic part to me or toxicities within me. But then it's like I do something, that I'm not proud of, and then I relapse and I'm just like, oh, I'm so awful and horrible and, terrible. But it's like you show people that they don't have to stay in that state of misery. You really show people that there's a way out of misery. And it, specifically self-induced misery, I will say. You show them the way out. And maybe you even kind of normalize these moments for them in a way, not like in the way of like, this is just always going to be a thing, but more so like, those feelings are valid, those thoughts are valid, that you feel that way about yourself in those moments. But again, you don't really have to stay there. And maybe that's part of shadow work. That's part of doing shadow work that kind of may throw people off. It's like, oh, if I look at my shadow, then I'll never, feel confident again, or I'll never think I'm a good person ever again. You know, and when we start to reflect on the ways that we've been toxic, shown up in a way that wasn't healthy, done things that we aren't proud of, poop. Where was it going with that? So I do think that those are morning cloak. I think that's what they were called, butterflies. I'm seeing them again this time. Also, before I started this, there was a tiny little, like very little spider that was crawling on me, and it was green, bright green. It was so cute. Anyways, okay, I need to stay focused on this message. Yeah, I almost feel like when people first start out doing shadow work, they make it so, I think that's what my point was, is like when we do these bad things and we're reflecting on those bad moments we had. We all have these moments from our past, sometimes our present too, but they don't have to be your future, and I feel like that's kind of what you show people. You know, those moments where we're reflecting on maybe all the people we've hurt throughout our lives, through those toxicities coming to the surface, through acting in ways we aren't proud of. We can maybe, you know, some people may get so swept up in that and be like, wow, I really am the worst person to ever live. But I feel like something that has helped me is realizing that nobody on this earth, when it comes to being a human, nobody is either better than you and nobody is worse than you. Wait, is that the saying? Something like that. I heard it somewhere and I found it very helpful on my journey personally, because it kind of helps me in those moments of feeling like I am literally the worst person to ever grace this earth. And it's like, okay, I highly doubt, you know, that I'm the worst person that ever existed, like objectively. Like there's been many very, very, very terrible people to grace this earth before I was even born. So it's very unlikely that I'm the worst person to ever live, right? And then on the other hand, maybe our ego kind of steps in and we start to get really full of ourselves and we're like, I'm the best person that ever lived. Nobody else can compare to me. And you know, sure, like if that's what helps you, you can totally feel free to do that if it helps you gain confidence or a healthy sort of ego. But on the opposite side, I guess, it can sometimes grow out of control, our ego. And sometimes we can think we're better than everyone, and therefore we put other people below us and we don't respect them, we don't treat them with kindness. So it's good to kind of have that balance. I'm neither the worst person, nor am I the best person. And that's where I would say most of us kind of, if not all of us, because humans are imperfect. I would say that, probably majority of humans, we all kind of are in that area of not being perfect, not being the worst. And I feel like that's somewhat comforting. And I feel like I use that sometimes when my ego's getting out of control and I can kind of notice myself being like, you know, a little arrogant. And, you know, not that having, the thing is, like, and I talk about this a lot, especially on my second channel, I find that balance is really the way to go. Balancing yourself out and having a healthy ego. Like, you can think, I am awesome. I am totally rocking my healing journey. I'm becoming super spiritual. But notice how I'm not saying I'm the most spiritual person. I am the best person. Because also that takes away that comparison of ourselves towards others. Because we may think we're the hottest person to ever grace this earth, but what if we bump into somebody that we feel is even hotter than ourselves? What is that going to do to your ego? It's going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't handle this, like, you know? So it's like, that's why it's so important to kind of balance out our ego and come at it from a place of balance and a sense of rationality, I would say. But yeah, I feel like you kind of show people that maybe that it's a journey as well. Like maybe you're like, there's never a clear finish line when it comes to our own healing. I feel like that's a very true thing, because we're constantly healing. We're constantly trying to evolve, or at least, you know, a good chunk of us, I would say. Because I think at the end of the day, we do want to be our best selves and show up in that way. But you show people that, like, it is possible. It is possible to move past those moments of misery, of rumination. It's like you show people, especially people that are in the darkness, you show people that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Because sometimes when we're going through shadow work, spiritual growth, you know, we can feel like we're in the dark and it's pitch black and there's no way out and we're like, okay, I'm just stuck here. But it's like you show the light at the end of the tunnel to kind of help guide these people through. So in a lot of ways, you're probably like a light in the lives of other people. And then that's followed by the Hierophant. The Hierophant is a person that is in a position of power, very spiritual, and somebody that people come to for advice, wisdom, guidance. And so I feel like you have become that person. And again, you're not teaching people these things through research and, well, maybe you have researched things in your life, but it's not just from like reading a book and being like, I can, you know, recite this information, you know, exactly from this book, but I don't have any real experience. That's not the case. I feel like you're coming at it from a place of true experience. And I feel like that's what makes you a powerful teacher. That's what makes you somebody that people actually want to listen to. Because who wants to, who would want to take advice from somebody that's never lived that journey? They can say like all these things from their studies and whatnot, but until they've actually lived that experience of going through it and coming out on the other side, like I feel like that makes way more of an impact in the lives of others, and it makes people want to actually listen to you and hear what you have to say, because they know that you're not just speaking out your ass. You're speaking from the heart. You're speaking from your own experiences. You're speaking from your truth. And I also feel like you can relate to these people that come to you for advice and whatnot, guidance. Also, maybe you like show up in people's lives and give them guidance without them even realizing that they needed it. Because sometimes you can just have a conversation with somebody and you're just like, you know, stating some sort of opinion about something, and you may not feel like it's that big of a deal, but maybe it shakes up that person's whole view of the world, you know? And so maybe it's not even people literally coming to you to ask for advice, but maybe you just spout words of wisdom. You just like kind of like off the cuff, kind of just like talk about stuff, and your perspective, your point of view, your experiences, they make a good impact on the lives of other people. You're very well respected too. People see that you're in this position of power, and I think this is usually probably what people are thinking rather than saying. I don't think people would be like, wow, you're in a position of power, like literally out loud, but they feel like you have some sense of authority, and that sense of authority comes through your wisdom and lived experiences. And kind of knowing what you're talking about. because again, you've lived these experiences. And honestly, I love that whole message, especially with the Six of Swords at the bottom of the deck, because the Six of Swords is all about moving out of a time of things just kind of sucking, just straight up being lame, and then going towards a time of calm, of hope, opportunity. So you truly are, in some ways, a shepherd for people. I hope that doesn't sound offensive. Not to say that people are sheep, but like, you know, like, you just help people, you help guide people towards their betterment to become the best self that they can be. And I feel like what's so important too when it comes to like these improvement journeys is not really comparing ourselves to other people, but comparing ourselves to our past selves, you know, especially those past parts of ourselves that, you know, may have shown up for people in a very negative way, or, you know, treated people in a way that we aren't proud of, or whatever. We can kind of, I lost that thought again. Oh, I'm so sorry. My brain is just a little foggy today, I think. But yeah, you pretty much help people see where they need to improve. You show people that it's okay to go through that improvement process. It's okay that you're not perfect right now. It's okay that you're not the finished product, I guess, like at the end of it, like, which, you know, I don't think any of us can be that, you know, perfect finished product ever, but really just becoming our best selves. Maybe that was something like just not comparing yourself to other people, just comparing yourself to yourself, your past experiences, past regrets, and then adapting, changing so that we don't repeat those same patterns in the future. You're just very powerful leader. And it comes, I really do feel like you come into people's lives when they need you the most. And maybe they don't even realize that they need you, and then you come into their lives and you spit words of wisdom, and people are just like, oh wow, that kind of changes my outlook on that thing. I want to see what's underneath that Six of Swords. Two of Swords. Yeah, so people that can't see clearly, this person's blindfolded. People that may not trust in their intuition, you show people how to trust in their intuition. And when people are at a crossroads where they don't know where to go, what to do, you show people that, again, they have the answers within themselves. You help people to become more confident in their self. And also you help people to move out of their comfort zone, because that's a whole nother thing too. It's like sometimes we're so afraid of change and doing this kind of work because it involves some sort of transformation, some sort of shifting, going outside of our comfort zone. But you show people that that doesn't have to be a scary thing, that doesn't have to be a bad thing. And in fact, it's probably the key to becoming that best version of ourselves. I want to see what's underneath that Two of Swords. Nine of Cups. So it's almost like you show people that even if you're going through it, even if things look really rough, you can come out the other side and become so happy and so self-contented. I like this Nine of Cups because it almost feels like this person is so happy, and like each of these cups is almost like a trophy that they've won throughout their life. And so now they can look back and look at all those trophies and be like, yeah, that's what I achieved. And you show people that they are capable of achievement, having those really powerful achievements, and then being able to look back with a lot of pride about how one has improved so much, how they never gave up, how they kept going. And you may kind of show people like, hey, maybe you're not where you want to be right now, but look at how far you've come. Like, that's some serious improvement. And maybe you're really good at showing people that. Like, it's like, yeah, like if somebody's like, you know, maybe they're not, you know, maybe they're, you know, all humans, in my opinion, are imperfect. So it's like, yeah, maybe you're not perfect, but maybe you're a year sober, and that's a huge deal, right? You show people like where, so it's almost like not only do you kind of show people their toxicities, you also show them how they have, well, maybe you'd show them like their own power, but also like how they have already improved, or how they, like, and that's a big thing too, is like if you want to change, that is everything. Because it's like you can't force someone to change. They have to want it for themselves. And so even if you feel like, oh, I'm so far behind in my growth journey, you know, I'm still repeating these toxic cycles and whatnot, you show people that it's like, because you want to change, that's literally the, I know I'm not articulating this the way that I want to. Like, that is what starts it all, wanting to change. And when you want to change, you can start to act upon that desire. Because I think sometimes we can kind of get lost in our past selves and still think that we're still that version of ourselves from the past. But we've lived so many years since then. We have experienced so much since then. We've grown so much since then. And sometimes we're blind to that growth. Yeah. So it's like you show people their toxicities, but you also show them their really positive parts too. And you give them hope. Because that's a whole nother thing too. It's like if somebody's called, you know, a piece of shit throughout their whole life, they're gonna think I'm a piece of shit, right? But you show people, and maybe it's people that have never heard it before. You know, maybe they didn't know that they're actually a good person, that there's something in them that's worth saving, that's worth, I almost want to say rescuing. Like it's you know, you see the good qualities in people and you help kind of bring that out and reflect that to them. And it gives them a sense of hope. It gives them a sense of like, maybe I can change. Maybe I'm not such a lost cause, you know? Like, I feel like that's kind of a thing, is like people sometimes feel like just a lost cause because they've been told throughout their whole lives that they're nothing, you know, that that they're horrible, toxic, blah, blah, blah. And sure, they may be in certain moments, but nobody is ever wholly toxic all the time, right? Because humans are complex like that. We're not, yeah, it's not as simplified and simple as that. Okay, let's go into the Three of Swords now and see what that's all about. Please and thank you, Spirit. How is the collective's magic helping others? Please and thank you with that Three of Swords. Please and thank you, Spirit. Okay, I think there's a moment. Okay. How is that Three of Swords applying to this message? Please and thank you, Spirit. How is the collective's magic? How is the collective's magic helping others? Helping people in their lives? Okay. Ooh. Okay, so clarifying that Three of Swords, we have the Eight of Cups, okay, the Queen of Cups, Knight of Swords, the Ten of Wands came out in this direction, interesting, and then bottom of the deck, Eight of Wands. Ooh, I really do love this reading, because sometimes I love when, like, you don't always know where the reading's going to take you. I just love the adventure of these tarot readings sometimes. It's fun. You show people how to move on from heartbreak and difficult times. Also, from trauma. Trauma caused by other people or situations that one has gone through in their life. You show people how to leave those things behind. You know, leaving the past in the past. Maybe not everybody's so comfortable with that, but you show them how to do that. And the Eight of Cups is not only about leaving things behind, but also it's about going towards what you want, what actually fulfills you. So it's almost like you show people they can start again. They can be rebirthed, renewed. They can prioritize themselves and their own happiness. Because I think that, you know, a lot of times we're socialized. Maybe it might be more specific to how women are socialized, but maybe I'm wrong. Where it's like we kind of live these lives where we're kind of expected to prioritize other people over ourselves, typically. But you show people that it's okay to prioritize themselves and to find what makes them happy, to actually pursue what makes them happy, what actually genuinely fulfills them, gives them a sense of purpose even. With that Queen of Cups, I think you have a very lovely way about you. You're very kind, very sweet, very gentle. You may have like a sort of comforting parental sort of energy. With the Queen of Cups, it's maternal energy, but that doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be that sort of gender attached to it. I also feel like you show people self-love, because look at this cup that she's holding. And she's just like gazing at it so lovingly. And sometimes I see that as like a heart of gold. You know, it's like she shows up with this heart of gold. And yeah, you show people that we should respect those beautiful parts to ourselves. We should value them. We should look at them and be in awe of those beautiful qualities within ourselves. And you show people that that's not arrogance. You know, loving yourself is not arrogant. Loving those beautiful qualities of yourself is not arrogant. Yeah. With the Knight of Swords, I feel like there's something here about like, you show people that it's like, that they are worth fighting for. Like they themselves are worth fighting for. Like they should and can fight for themselves, and that is a worthy pursuit. Yeah, like fighting for fair treatment, fighting for a relationship that actually feeds your soul, that doesn't traumatize you. Fighting for better treatment, fighting for your ability to grow, become healthier. And it's almost like you show them that like they can also do this in the face of adversity. If you look very closely, it's like the wind is rushing, like it's very strong, but they're still charging forward as fast and as strong as possible. So it's like even against the current, they are still worth fighting for. Even if people don't understand, even if they're met with moments of adversity, mistreatment, people misunderstanding them. It's like it's still worth going for it anyways. And the Ten of Wands coming out like this, I actually really like that, because it's telling me that you show people that, sure, maybe it's kind of hard work to improve yourself or recover from the past or move on from the past or fight for ourselves. All of that may be a lot of work, but you are telling people and showing people that it's worth the hard work. Like, sure, it's hard work, especially at first, very daunting, but it gets easier and it's so worth it in the end. And again, with that Queen of Cups that you're showing up as, you show people what is possible on the other side of things. It's like, if you choose to change, if you choose to grow, improve, leave people behind in the past that don't deserve you, fight for yourself, focus on your self-love. It may feel a little bit overwhelming at first. It may feel like there's just a lot and, it's difficult, but it's so worth it in the end. And you're like that sort of, I hate to say that finished product, but that's kind of what I'm getting. And again, like, nobody is ever perfect, but we can become someone that we are very proud of being. We can become our best selves. You show people this. You show people that it's worth it in the end. You also may show people that adversity is not the end. We can overcome those obstacles. We can and we will overcome those obstacles and situations, circumstances. Yeah, it's really a beautiful energy that you're showing up in. Again, there's like this feeling of you being the light in a lot of people's lives. You probably have a very beautiful aura. People probably really like your energy and they probably naturally gravitate towards you without them even realizing why. Because it's almost like people may not even be awoken enough to realize it's your energy, but they just, for some reason, feel very drawn towards you. Or you inspire them, or you spark something in them, and they're maybe like not quite sure why. But yeah, you're a very special person. Also, with the Eight of Wands at the bottom of the deck, I feel like this is a good example, or yeah, like it's almost, how do I word this? So it's almost like, yeah, things can be like really heavy, hard, difficult, like hard work and stuff, but it gets easier with that Eight of Wands. Because it's like hitting me as like, okay, these wands are just like flying through the air. I imagine somebody like throwing them, well, probably multiple somebodies, because there's eight wands there. But it's almost like they're just, they're going through the air and they're gonna meet the, like it's effortless is what I'm trying to say. Like it becomes, and that's the thing. It's like when we practice something regularly, it becomes so much easier. Things go much smoother. And so that's why it's so important not to give up at the first sign of a struggle, at the first sign of a roadblock or whatever, because it does get easier with time. Falling with style. That's a quote from Toy Story, the first one. So it's like, each of our journeys looks different, and we may feel like we're failing, but it's still valid and important, and the effort is still worth it in the end. also, these wands are at all different like lengths, I guess. Like they're at different points in this card, in the image, as if to say everybody has their own journey that is specific to them. And so that's kind of why it's not very logical or sensible to compare our journey to anyone else's, because they also have not lived our exact experiences. And so our journeys are going to look different. And that does not make them any worse. It doesn't mean that we're doing something wrong. It doesn't mean that, like it doesn't mean anything negative. It's really just about what does our journey look like, and being okay with the idea that it's not going to look like everyone else's. We're all going to develop at our own rates. We're all going to grow at our own rates. We're going to succeed at our own rates. And each person's journey is just as beautiful in different ways, but still beautiful. And still worth it at the end of it. I want to see what's underneath that Eight of Wands. Ace of Wands. You give people back the power, and you show people that magic is possible and that they have the power to make the magic happen in their own life. Like they're holding the wand here. They can cast that magical spell. That power is within them. That ability is within them. They can choose to grow if they, or they can grow if they choose to. There's something about how you empower people. You just like help people feel so empowered. And I feel like it's like, maybe specifically within our culture, within our society, and how we're socialized growing up. We may feel very powerless, very kind of defeated. Especially in our adulthood, we can feel that way. But you show people like magic can happen, you can make magic happen. You can make those changes. Whatever you want to see yourself as in the future, that can become your reality. That's what you're showing people. I want to just see what's underneath the Ace of Wands out of curiosity. The Emperor. So you show people how to become their own emperor. To become this master, this boss. Boss of their life, boss of themselves. Powerful, triumphant, highly respected as well. And again, I feel like it's because you're leading by example. You have become your own emperor, so you can show people how to do it themselves. Very, very beautiful energy. And again, there's that suit of armor underneath his cloak, as if to say, the fight is worth it. It may be difficult. You may, hit a few roadblocks along the way, a few obstacles here and there, but it's going to be ultimately worth it. And the payoff is going to be huge. That may also just be like another message too, for anyone out there that's like feeling like they're putting a lot of effort into something right now, but not feeling like it's paying off. I want to say that the payoff is going to be huge for you, as long as you keep going. Maybe somebody needed to hear that message. But yeah, you show people that the payoff is going to be worth it, but also just like incredible as well. Like I almost feel like it's gonna be like beyond these people's wildest imaginations, you know? Like people may think, yeah, like, okay, the payoff will be great, but then it's like when it actually hits, it's like, oh my gosh, I would have never thought in a million years I would get to this point in my life, but here I am. You really do set people up for success. And again, it's like through your own experiences, so people know that you're not just BSing them. You're not just leading them down some pointless trail or some fool's journey. No, it's like worth it. It's so much bigger than that. It's so much bigger than they realize, than they think is possible. Okay, let's go on to the Knight of Pentacles now and clarify that. Please and thank you, Spirit. What do we have for that Knight of Pentacles? How is the collective's magic helping others? Please and thank you, Spirit. Please and thank you. Ooh. Please and thank you. All the magic words. Please and thank you very much. Okay. Ooh, yeah, baby. Ooh, yeah, baby. Yeah. Anything else for the Knight of Pentacles? Please and thank you, Spirit. Oh, please and thank you. Please and thank you, Spirit. How's the collective's magic? Okay, yes. I had a feeling that was going to come out at some point. Ooh, baby. This is my jam. Okay, this is such an interesting reading. Okay, so clarifying that Knight of Pentacles, we have the Six of Swords. It came out. Okay. So the Knight of Pentacles is the slowest moving knight in the deck, but it's somebody that really thinks through things before they act, so that they can move with certainty, stability. And so I feel like Six of Swords clarifying that you show people that, you know, maybe it will take you a little bit of time, but again, it will be so worth it in the end. Six of Pentacles also came out following the Six of Swords. Multiple sixes could be a thing. Maybe you're seeing multiple sixes. That could be a sign, confirmation for you from Spirit that you're on the right track, that this is you, this is a message for you. You're such a giving, kind person. And it's like, if you have information to share, you will share it with others. Because you're probably one of those people that doesn't feel a need to gatekeep certain information, especially if it can help, like, people that are in need, you know, the people that need this information. It's like, you're not in it for the money. You're not in it for the... Yeah, you're not in it for the money. You're not in it for the material things, the validation, the accolades. Like, you're really not in it for that. You're in it because you know that people need this information. You know that what people need in order to improve themselves, improve their lives. And so you have no problem showing up and being like, if I can help you in any way, I will. It's interesting that the Ten of Pentacles came out this way, because I typically see cards that come out in that direction to be something that's potentially holding you back or holding someone back here. Ooh, okay. I'm actually getting a little bit of a interesting message with this one. It feels almost like you go against the grain, and I kind of got this a little bit earlier, but you go against the grain in the way of, like, I really do think that our society, our culture is becoming very superficial and based on, you know, materialistic sort of things, and the hope or desire that materialistic things are what provide happiness, provide that sense of stability, provide that sense of purpose even, maybe. But you show people that those materialistic desires and those sort of things, they are not the answer, and they aren't necessarily going to provide happiness. And so it's almost like you show people to be maybe more, like, you try to encourage people to be more in alignment with what they value, their own values, their own ethics, what's important to them, rather than what is society saying is success. Because typically when it comes to our idea of success in life is what we've been socialized to believe, like, if I got a lot of money, if I got a nice house, if my family is perfect and we never fight ever, and we're all living in peace and harmony, like these sort of expectations, and they're not always super realistic, they're not always super attainable for some people. And you show them like that there is another way to be, and just because you have a lot of money, just because you have a nice house, just because you have a nice car, doesn't mean that you're happy, doesn't mean that that's going to provide you with that sense of true stability, true security within yourself. And it's almost like you challenge maybe even people to kind of think outside of the box when it comes to it's almost like you may be with people like, no, what do you want? Because so many times people are like, somebody asks you like, what do you want out of life? And then sometimes we just spew whatever like we've been told throughout our lives, like, yeah, I want a lot of money, I want a nice car, I want a hot wife, like, whatever. I don't know how that came out, but I want things that look good on Instagram or social media. And it's like, okay, but what do you want though? What do you think would genuinely make you happy? And hey, who knows, maybe working in a library would be this person's dream job, or something that they would love, and that's the thing, it's like everybody's journey again is different, unique, and you show people like you don't have to go according to what societal expectations expect of you. You don't have to go with what everybody else is doing. You don't have to be a cog in the machine of what is considered good or bad or, fulfilling. Like, you genuinely are like, how about we explore what you want rather than what your parents have told you to want, rather than what you have been raised to believe is considered success. Because maybe somebody's idea of success is, like I said, working in a library. I remember working in a library once, and that was literally probably the funnest job I ever had. And it was probably a very happy time in my life, to be honest. It was very, very nice. So it's like, yeah, everybody's like idea of success is going to be different. Especially when we truly take a look at what matters to us. What do we care about? What do we like to do? What do we get some excitement out of? What do we, like, it's going to be different for every one of us. And so we can't necessarily go according to what is big on social media, what is considered important. A designer handbag, is that truly going to give you a sense of peace, fulfillment, purpose? Like, is that gonna sustain you for your life? Like, and maybe that's just me, maybe it's just me, but I'm of the belief that those things don't truly provide happiness. Sure, they might be nice to kind of show off to the world and take a picture of for Instagram or whatever, or show it off to your broke friends or whatever, I guess, but I don't know. I just feel like when we truly take some time to really analyze things and truly consider things, we may realize that, wait a second, what makes me happy is not at all what this path I'm heading down is going to set me up for. I would much rather, and it kind of goes back to like as well, like maybe the job that is like your dream job doesn't pay super well, but you would be happy each and every day to wake up and remember, oh my gosh, I have my dream job. Oh my gosh, I get to go into work and like be around books all day and set up really cool library displays, and I can help people with their research, like whatever, like, and I'm just using the library thing as just an example. It's probably going to be much different for every one of you out there, but you show them how it can be beautiful, how it can be even more purposeful, even more important and sacred to just do what truly makes you happy not what people are going to judge you on, not what people are going to deem as being good or success. Yeah, you really do show people that money isn't everything, and these things that are so materialistic, and it's kind of unfortunate really when you think about it, that our society has kind of gotten to such a point of excess and materialism, superficiality, and it's just like, because I truly think that that's just going to lead to generations of people feeling ultimately empty and hollow and unfulfilled in their lives, and that really makes me sad, because I truly want everybody to be able to pursue what they want out of life, because we do only have this one life, in my opinion at least. And so why would we want to set ourselves up for a life of misery, a life of just doing what everybody else is doing? Anyways, I really love that message though, because it's like showing people like, hey, you don't have to go and do what your parents want you to do. You don't have to do things according to what society expects of you. You can create your own abundance, your own feelings of happiness, your own sense of value. The Seven of Swords came out too, but it came out in this direction, and that's super interesting to me. Actually, that goes perfectly with what I was just saying. Because the Seven of Swords usually is like a card of like trickery, deceit, sneakiness, people being sketchy. But in this context, especially with it going out like that, I see it as, because the other thing about the Seven of Swords is it can be about thinking outside the box, getting creative, doing something that nobody's thought of before, doing something that nobody's ever done before. And so, yeah, like if you are trying to find your happiness, your contentment, your feelings of purpose and success in life, what do they look like for you? Not what they look like for other people, but like for you, genuinely. You better not be a tick. I think it might just be a beetle, but I'm not sure. Oh. Okay, can I get you on this card so I can... It might have been a very small tick. Didn't fly, so anyways, yeah, you show people that it's okay to think outside the box, and I think you actively encourage people to think outside the box. Even if what you're doing doesn't make sense to anyone else, who cares? It's your life. At the end of the day, are they the one? Ooh, yellow monarch butterfly, I think. I've been seeing monarch butterflies a lot lately. Very interesting. Anyways, I feel like that may be a sign too, especially the yellow. Yellow is typically a color that's associated with a lot of happiness, so that could be a fun little message from spirit. Anyways, yeah, like even if what you're doing makes no sense to anyone else, who cares? They're not the one that's gonna lay down their head on your pillow at night and think about what you've been doing all day. And maybe it's just me. I have a strong personality, so I know not everybody thinks like me, right? But I find it silly sometimes that and I've fallen into this too. Like I'm not, I didn't just pop out the womb with this knowledge. But like, I just find it just sad, I guess, that sometimes we just go so according to what everyone else is expecting of us. We do what we think will make our parents happy. We do what we think, society will deem as success, But nobody else is going to live your life and you know, yeah, nobody else is going to live your life for you. So why should we be going out of our way to please other people and doing what they want us to do? That just sounds like a life of misery to me. But, you know, to each their own, I guess. But you encourage people to be like, you know, be weird, be out there, be experimental. Because that's a whole nother thing too. Some people are just so afraid to experiment. And that's also sad, because it's like, how are you ever going to find the thing that you truly love, truly makes you happy, if you don't experiment every once in a while with new paths, new goals, ambitions. Also, this dotted shirt, I've heard, is referring to a sense of trying to be more lighthearted, trying not to take things so seriously. And so when it comes out like that, I feel like that's kind of what you're encouraging people to do as well, is like loosen up a little bit. Maybe not take things so seriously, especially when it comes to what other people expect of us. We don't have to live that way. We have a choice. We have free will. You know, sometimes we forget. I've been a person that forgets I have free will all the time. Well, not all the time, but a good amount of the time in the past, I would say. I've forgotten that I had free will, right? We fall into these patterns and we think, oh, there's no way I can do what I truly want, that I can go after what I truly want out of life. But yeah, you show people that they don't have to take things so seriously, and it's okay to be experimental, to do things that are different, that make no sense to anyone else. Because at the end of the day, we only have ourselves, and we're ultimately setting ourselves up for our either happiness or depression, I guess, you know? And it's like, if the path you're on isn't fun or fulfilling you in any way, change it. Change direction. Pivot. Just so many interesting cards here that came out, because more came out. I keep getting distracted with the messages coming through, but Five of Pentacles also came out, as well as the Seven of Pentacles, the Moon card, the Two of Swords, and the Temperance card. I had a feeling that the Temperance card was going to come out, because I think I mentioned with the Three of Swords that we clarified that you kind of help people to realize they can be reborn. I sometimes see the Temperance card as a phoenix rising from the ashes to a certain extent. Not as much as maybe the Judgment card or the Death card, but I see it kind of in that same sort of way, or concept, I guess. So, Five of Pentacles. Well, that was a clear message. I'm getting the message that comparison is the thief of joy. And I feel like it's, again, comparing ourselves to others, not comparing ourselves to our past version of ourselves, but rather, what is everybody else doing? And am I doing the same things that everyone else is? Am I doing what everybody thinks is cool? Am I doing what everybody else thinks is success, or gonna set me up for success in life? And it's like that hollow feeling you get when you're comparing yourself to other people. And also, I feel like that sort of comparison sets us up for jealousy. And jealousy can become a very toxic emotion when it grows out of control. People have been killed over jealousy. That's the thing, you know? It can really be a horrible disease, jealousy. And not to say that I'm not a person that gets jealous. I get jealous of people all the time. I'll see somebody with a big badonky donk and be like, why can't I have that kind of cake on me? That's not, I don't know why I just shared that, but there you go. I guess you can know my insecurity. But, you know, and I think, again, the way our society is headed and has been sort of socializing us is, honestly, I think we're kind of setting ourselves up for that sort of comparison and jealousy because of, like, look at social media and the fact that, you know, just scrolling through maybe Instagram, TikTok, we see these beautiful people and, you know, maybe their nose looks different than ours. Maybe their lips look different than ours. And because we're different from whatever we're looking at, we think, oh, I'm old. Because I don't look like that, that means I'm ugly. That means I'm worthless. That means, you know, I'm not special. I'm not important. I'm not blah, blah, blah. That I don't have any good qualities about myself, whatever. And so it's like, when we compare ourselves to others, when we feel those feelings of jealousy towards others, we feel so hollow. So I'm getting the word hungry. Hungry for maybe what everybody else has. Hungry for being different, being anything other than who we are. And that's sad because everybody is special in their own way. Everybody has their own special magic within them. And maybe you show people that. You show people to see that. Like, we don't need to compare ourselves to anything on the outside. We just need to compare ourselves to our past selves. And if we can say, like, I've improved since last year, 10 years ago, then that is success in my mind. Yeah, it's like you set people up to think about things differently. Yeah. It's very interesting with the Seven of Pentacles and the Moon card. They came out together like this. So I feel like that's a message together. You show people that even if something is growing slowly or taking some time to develop, that does not mean that it's not worth pursuing. That does not mean that you're a failure. You show people this. You're like, yeah, maybe it'll take some time. Maybe you're not quite where you want to be right now, but that does not mean that you're not on the right path. That does not mean that you should give up on this path. And I'm getting that message again on, like, doing what other people expect of you. And if you genuinely feel like this path that you are setting yourself up for is not going to genuinely provide you with happiness, fulfillment, you show people that it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to go outside of your comfort zone, to maybe go against the flow, go against the grain, go against what everyone else is doing, what everybody else expects of you. Because the Moon card can also be a lot about fear. And sometimes we think we have to stick with something, maybe out of fear. Maybe because we've invested so much time into that path. Oh, I should just, you know, do it even if it doesn't make me happy. No. At any point in our lives, we can choose to take a different path, to go down a different direction, to pursue something else. Because again, nobody is going to live our lives for us. So why would we go according to what anyone else has to say about it? And the thing about, like, people in our lives is are temporary. You know, and maybe that's a sad message to a degree because, like, either those people are going to leave your life, maybe you outgrow them, maybe they outgrow you, you know, they probably are going to die at some point because death is inevitable. But so it's like, why are we setting ourselves up for things that make our parents happy when who knows how long they're going to be around for, you know? That sounds a little bit macabre maybe. But you know, like it's like it's kind of true. Like, why? You know, it's almost like somebody in their 80s being like, oh yeah, I became a dentist because my dad wanted me to, and you know, so I kind of have just been living this really unfulfilling life because, you know, that's what he wanted me to do. And you're just like, is your dad still in your life? And it's like, no, he died 20 years ago. And it's like, or, you know, whatever, however long ago. And so it's like, it kind of is like, oh, like, why didn't you just do something else then? Because it's like, if you're only trying to please your father, then, you know, why set up your whole life around this thing? Also, you show people to like listen to their inner voice and block out outside voices, outside criticism, expectations. Other people's fear too, because that can sometimes be another deterrent from what we really want, from going down the path towards what we truly want out of life. Other people's fears projected onto us, because these people are taught from a very young age, you can't do what you really want out of life because it's not rational, it's not reasonable, it's not realistic, it's not whatever. But you show people that those are just projections, and they're based in fear. Yeah, you show people that the fear of the unknown is not, it's not as scary as it seems. Doing something that you've never done before, yeah, it probably will be a little bit scary at first. You'll probably be uncertain for a period of time. You'll probably be like, did I make a mistake? But ultimately, it will pay off in the end. With the Two of Swords, I almost get this feeling of like people are going to misunderstand you no matter what. So whether you are a dentist or somebody super successful or whatever, or you're a farmer or a gardener that grows vegetables, I don't know. Somebody out there is always going to criticize. Everybody has their own opinions, and you know what they say about opinions. Actually, I don't know, like maybe I have some non-native English speakers that may not know what that is in reference to, but there's a saying that goes, opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one, but some stink worse than others. Yeah, so, you know, everybody's gonna have their own opinion. Everybody's gonna have their, you know, want to have their say in what you do. Everybody's gonna want to like give you their 2 cents, even if it's in direct conflict with what you're doing, direct conflict with what you're setting yourself up for. And so, like, it's okay to be stubborn when it comes to what is truly meant for you, what is truly gonna provide you with that sense of happiness, fulfillment, purpose. So really, don't listen to anyone else. It's like learn to block that out. It's like maybe you show people that it's okay to block out those people. It's okay to not listen to everyone and what they have to say. And do they approve of your path? Do they approve of this choice you're making? It really doesn't matter. And it's okay to be stubborn. If you feel in your heart that your path is going to set you up for your own sense of success, your own sense of fulfillment, that is truly what all that matters. You show people that. Even if it means moments of conflict, moments of disapproval. Nobody's gonna live your life for you, so do what makes you happy ultimately. And I feel like you are showing people that. Yeah. And then the Temperance card. The Temperance card is also a card of like patience. You may show people like that it's important to be patient, not only with yourself, but maybe other people around you, your life circumstances, your journey. You also, again, show people how to listen to their intuition, to listen to their internal guidance, their spiritual guidance even. And the wings I'm being very drawn to on this card, almost to say like, when you listen to yourself, your true intuition or your sense of spiritual guidance, you're going to feel so much lighter because you're navigating the world in a different way. You're just doing your own thing, but that thing is going to set you up for your own happiness, fulfillment, contentment out of life. So it's like when you listen to your intuition, when you listen to yourself and what you really want, you're going to feel so much lighter. And again, you show people that. And again, I feel like a lot of this is just through your own experiences. You're like, I know this because I've lived it. And then bottom of the deck, I think I forgot to show you guys, but the Sun card. And so honestly, this goes perfectly with a lot of what I was saying, but also with that bright light. Something about you being a very bright light in the lives of others. You're very, very special, and you're very important. Integral is what I'm getting. So you could be a very integral part of other people's lives. It's like, I'm getting hope core as well. So maybe you're like one of those people that just like really tries to look on the bright side. Or you try to look on the bright side for other people. Like people that may think, oh, this is, you know, useless or garbage or whatever. And you're just like, no, it's not. There's like another way of looking at things. But, you know, the Sun card ultimately does indicate happiness. It's like the happiest card in the deck. So it's like you show people that their happiness is worth it, is worth pursuing, is worth going for, worth striving for. Also, there's the child here, so it's like that inner child. Like, what did you want to be growing up? Before the world got to you, before the world tried to beat down all your enthusiasm, all your optimism, what did you truly want? You know, what does your inner child want you to become? What does your inner child crave more than anything out of life? You're showing people that that is important. That is just as important. That is just as detrimental is coming to mind, but I don't think that's the word I'm looking for. Like, it's really just like, it's important. It's worth it. Even if it is unrealistic, according to other people, according to society. It's worth pursuing. Especially if it brings you that happiness. I want to see what's underneath that Sun card. Death card. I said that. Death card. No, the Death card is actually a very positive card, even though it looks, you know, grim. But it's really about endings leading to new beginnings and transformation that comes along with that. And also, it's very interesting that there's like this pope or bishop or someone, some sort of religious figure there. And, you know, somebody that's seen as like important in some way. Position of power maybe. But yet, they do not stand a chance when it comes to death. So it's almost like you realize that even people that seem like they have all the power in these sort of dynamics, such as parents, and we have to live up to their expectations. For one, they're not going to be around forever. And for two, you have the say whether or not they have that power over you, especially in your adulthood. So if you want to say no to those people in authority that you look up to, that are telling you to do something that's against what you want, you can. You have the right to do so. To say no. I actually don't want to become a dentist, Mom. I want to become a singer. I don't know. That makes me think of Monty Python in the Holy Grail. the kid that's like in the tower, and he's like, I want to sing, and he's like looking out the window, and his father's just like, no, we're not gonna do a musical, we're not gonna do that. I don't know why that just came into my mind, so funny. But yeah, like move out of the way so I can get focused on what I want, and I'm not gonna listen to you. Okay. And then I want to see what's underneath the death card, just out of curiosity. Page of Wands. Like, I love this because it's like, that's that youthful, optimistic energy of like, let's explore this. It may not end up the way I want. It may not do what I expect it to do or whatever. You know, and maybe this will take some time or adjustment period, but let's play with the idea of experimentation. Let's play with the idea of going down this other path. Let's be that youthful energy again and explore. Yeah. You show people just so many beautiful things about themselves and like how things don't have to be the way they thought they had to be. The Tower card, yeah. So you really do shake up people's lives. You blow people's minds, I want to say. Where people are like, I didn't even think of things like that. Or, I never saw it from that perspective before. Or, is that true? I really don't have to listen to my parents? Like, you know? I want to see what's underneath that Tower. 5 of Pentacles. It's almost like people are like this when you come into their life. And then the Tower comes in. The energy that you bring in is this Tower that just completely breaks apart that 5 of Pentacles. That feeling of like, oh, things are awful, they're always going to be awful. You know, sad, negative energy. But you're like, nope, you can change that. You can blow up all of this negativity, the path of your life that you thought you had to go down. You can just throw that in the garbage and start new. I want to see what's underneath that. 5 of Swords, and then underneath that is the 3 of Cups. Winning at any, the desire to win no matter what the cost. That is a message with that 5 of Swords. I'm almost getting like, believing that you can win no matter what your obstacles are, no matter what stands in the way of you and your dreams. It's possible to overcome anything. The 3 of Cups, community, support systems, those are important. You give people a sense of community, a sense of support, especially in their times of darkness. Okay, let's break out the Oracle and see what it has to say. I've been blabbering for so damn long now. Hopefully it makes some sense, this reading. Ooh, interesting. I didn't even see that fell out. Oh, okay. Ooh. This is interesting. The Beaver and the Birch came out in the reverse. This typically indicates home. Came out in the reverse though, so that means it's a different sort of message. And then we have the Quail and Gooseberry. This represents anticipation. And then bottom of the deck here, we have the Hare and Oak. This represents new opportunities. So, the Beaver and the Birch. Since it represents home, I'm gonna say, back to that whole thing of living up to your parents' expectations of what they want out of your life. You know, again, throwing that in the trash. You know, throwing away those things that you were brought up to believe that just suck the life out of you. Throw them away. Set fire to them. Not your parents. And not to homes. Not to a house, but like to those ideas that you have to live up to other people's expectations. Throw it all away. Throw out all that societal programming, socialization that has taught you this. But throw it all away. You have that power. And I think you definitely know this, but you're showing people that they have that power too. And then anticipation with this one. So I feel like you kind of show people, or rather you help people to feel like they can be excited about their future again. Because anticipation is kind of talking to me about like that feeling of like, ooh, I can't wait to pursue this. Oh, I can't wait to explore this new path. Ooh, I can't wait to brainstorm about what I want my future to look like. You give people that sense of like, I can look to the future and feel excited, feel happy, feel enthusiastic. And maybe they haven't felt that in so long. But you come into their lives and it's like, oh my gosh, I can be happy. I can see my future in a positive light now. I can make plans for my future. Like, the world is my oyster here. Like, the possibilities are truly endless. And maybe this is like blowing people's minds, shaking them out of that sense of apathy, of misery. The hare and the oak, this represents new opportunities. So yeah, you show people like, hey, go forward, go and pursue those new things, those things that you've never seen before, those things that you've never explored before, those things that you've always wanted to do but never felt confident enough to do it. Go for it. You show people like, do it, man, like just do it. You make people feel happy, you make people feel excited, you make people feel so something that they haven't felt in years, maybe their whole lives even. Just it's such beautiful energy that you give off here. So please continue doing what you're doing and showing up for people like this, because it's really making a big difference in the lives of other people. And again, it shows me that you are not just talking out your ass. You're talking because this is your lived experience. You have lived it. So you know that they are going to be set up for success and that they can achieve what they want to achieve, that they can pursue what they want to pursue. Yeah. You also may be a very good like support system for other people, and they really appreciate that. Because it really feels like you're like everyone's cheerleader. You're just like, yeah, you're doing it. Yeah, do it, you know, like you're giving people that sense of confidence. Like, oh, maybe I can pursue this path. Maybe I can experiment with this thing, you know? Gorgeous energy, just gorgeous, gorgeous energy. I love this reading so much. I hope that my rambling made sense. Sometimes it doesn't make sense in the moment, but when I'm editing, I'm like, okay, that actually sounds cohesive in some regard. Because sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if any of that made sense. But hopefully this made sense for someone out there. Even if it's just one person. Yeah, so anyways, that is the reading. I'm gonna wrap it up for sure because I think it's gonna rain and I don't want it to rain on me, so gotta run home. Anyways, yeah, so if this resonated at all, feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you subscribe, you can become a part of the Hive Collective. Because my name is Bee. Bees live in hives, and you can become an honorary bee like me, and we can be a little bee family together. If you like my readings and you'd like to see more, be sure to click the bell icon down below so that YouTube actually notifies you the next time that I upload. And thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate you, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye.